Hey church, I am super excited to be here with you today. God's really been teaching me some things in unexpected ways during this season. Being at home a lot more. We are obviously watching a little bit more TV than we'd like to admit, but Disney blessed us recently with releasing Frozen 2 even a little bit earlier than they had anticipated on Disney+. And so my young daughter and even my son are thoroughly enjoying that movie, and I had never seen it before. And since this whole thing has started, I've watched it maybe 15 times, and I don't really have anything to complain about because God's been teaching me something in this story that reflects His heart for relationships. I want to share that with you today. If you haven't seen it, no spoilers, I promise, you should check it out. But there's a moment at the end where Anna has a crazy idea to solve the big conflict. And she runs into her significant other, and they hadn't been together for a majority of the movie. And immediately, when they run into each other, she's trying to solve this problem. She has this crazy idea, and he asks her, he says, "What do you need?" And then she tells him exactly what she needs, and he says, "Okay, let's go." He didn't ask questions. He didn't offer a better idea. He didn't argue with her. He said, "Let's go, let's do this." He did not have a second thought. And that is speaking a lot to me about not only relationships in general, but specifically in our marriages. As we're spending a lot of time together with our families and our spouses, there's all sorts of different things that can come up, and frustrations and complications and struggles of just being confined to the home together. And God has been using this one moment to point out something I think that He taught about 2,000 years ago. And in Mark chapter 10, you've got the disciples wanting to know how they can be great, how they can be Jesus's right and left-hand man. And here's what Jesus says in Mark 10, starting at verse 42. It says, "Jesus called them over and said to them, 'You know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles dominate them, and their men of high power exercise power over them. But it must not be like that among you. On the contrary, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must be a slave to all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give His life as a ransom for many.'" Now, some people may look at a Disney movie and think that it's just some silly kid's story, but this moment is reflective of a real relationship that probably most of us are in. And what happens is one person expresses very clearly, "This is what I need." They don't have trouble articulating, "Hey, this is what I want and this is what I need to survive in this moment." And in this time, we need to be honest with our spouses. Like, "This is what I need. This is what I need to survive right now. Can you help me?" And then on the other end of that, the spouse who's hearing that needs to say, "Okay, let's go. How do I do that?" It doesn't have to be an argument about what the best choice is all the time. For sure, we need to be talking through God's plan, and we need to be leading and taking care of each other in that way. But sometimes one spouse just needs to say, "This is what I need," and the other spouse needs to say, "Okay, let me do that." And I think that reflects God's idea of serving each other. He says even Jesus came to serve others. And in our relationships and our marriages, we can serve each other in this way by simply expressing clearly what we need on one end, and on the other end, saying, "Okay, let's do this." Not everything has to be a big conversation. There's some things that you can just follow through on to serve your spouse. And I want to encourage you during this time to be thinking of that. How can you serve your spouse? And hopefully, when we're all done with this situation, you're going to have a stronger marriage because of it, because you started serving the one that you promised to love and cherish for the rest of your life in this moment. I'm so glad to be here with you today. I thank you for joining us, and I hope God blesses you and all your relationships during this season.